हो मुवमेंट घेवन मुखार सरिल्ले जस्टीस फेर्दिन रिबेलो. देर इज वन मोर. कॉन्स्टिट्युशना भितर आनी एक आसा, संविधाना भितर आनी एक आसा, ते म्हणजे इन दी डायरेक्टिव्ह. Finally, ILO. Enough is enough. Now, Justice Rebello, please release the book. I think the book deserves, the release deserves a standing ovation. With a clap. Thank you very much. आणि आता आम्ही आयकुपाक रावताले. I would request Justice Rebello to become a judge after I left and used to appear before me in environment matters, as to recollect. Norma and Cloud, friends from 85 or 86. The first petition that they filed and I argued was against sand mining on the Goan beaches. And I was told when I read some books, there's something called Brendan's Brief. Justice Brandon. He's a famous American judge. When he was a lawyer, they said the case he put up was always with facts documented, so much so that the judge read that matter, it was complete. And when I read, and when Cloud came with that petition, I was just a young lawyer. I had 73, so 85, 12 or so. I said that this is Brandon's brief. Complete, replete with facts, figures, documents, everything. And it was easy to convince the judges. And the judge who heard the matter, Justice Mota, had a smile on his face when he said we are allowing the petition. As on Tujmukar, and then of course Dean and the publisher. I always put a year before the book. तुम्ही सगळीं आसात ते activists, most of you are activists. वावुरतात एक गोंय सांबाळपाक, वावुरनात आपल्या फायदे घेवपाक. आणि आमच्या हे देशान, इंडिया दॅट इज भारत, असा आमचो संविधान म्हणटात, कोण म्हणटा संविधान बट कोंकणीत संविधान, द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया. आणि हे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनाक एक आर्टिकल आसा, आर्टिकल 51AG, द फंडामेंटल ड्युटीज ऑफ सिटीजन्स. आणि हे फंडामेंटल ड्युटीज ऑफ सिटीजन्स एक आर्टिकल आसा, it is the duty of every citizen to protect the environment, to protect the beasts and birds and birds. And जेन्ना एक मुख्यमंत्री or मंत्री जे लोक गोंयच्या खातीर वावुरतात, जे लोक गोंच्या खातीर आपले घाम घालून रस्त्यार येऊन झगडटात, you call them urban Naxalites? And you are also a constitutional functionary. You have taken an oath to defend the Constitution, and that Constitution says, Article 51AG, that is the duty of every citizen. I think hereinafter, आमचे मंत्री जे आसात, चड करून आमचो मुख्यमंत्री must understand the choice of words coming from a person who occupies a constitutional chair must be said carefully, chintun, and you can't say something against the Constitution. Jenna amche Samvidhan manta, it is my duty, your duty to protect the environment and the ecology, the birds and the animals. We are exercising that right, given to us by the Constitution, given to us by the Samvidhan. So please, from this platform, I request those who are sitting in power to be careful of what words you choose. संदेशान म्हणलें फिश करी रायस म्हणजे आमची बांगड्या कडी. But I don't see that book. I don't read fish curry rice in that context. मुझ विचार दुसरेच आसात. I see fish curry and rice in a different context altogether. थोडे इंग्लिश उलयता पूण मात्र म्हाका paddy field cousins, 431.60 square kilometers, 11.66 of the land mass. Why am I speaking about these figures? I am speaking about these figures because today the land sharks have come. They are eyeing this horticulture land. Amdar सांगतात, अरे horticulture तुझ्या बापाचे न्ही. These horticulture lands were given to you either by the Komindar on lease or emphasis for the purpose of agriculture, horticulture. They have to remain a part of Goa's landscape as horticulture. The paddy field, which constitutes 11.6%, must remain a part of Goa's landmass as paddy fields. Why am I saying this? In 23 years, तुम्ही काय जाल्लो, protection of agricultural lands म्हणून. When first time I read this act, I said, what a great thing the government has done. I was happy. Then I was section 2B was away. Paddy fields, this is only paddy fields. Paddy fields can be developed as procedure provided by law, not otherwise. आणि रूल काढल्यात की paddy field एक पार्टी settlement zone गेले under 39A, then paddy fields can be converted. So the law was not to protect paddy fields. The law was to take out paddy fields from protection to settlement. But they don't know them khabar na, or they know. 91 to कायदा आस म्हणून. The 91 law says no paddy field, no agricultural land which is tenanted, notwithstanding anything contained in the Town and Country Planning Act, notwithstanding anything contained in any plan, can be converted. Full stop. And all kaida asthana, even when this law is in force, Town and Country Planning Department permission deta based upon this change of zoning. Change of zoning is one part. Development is the next part. Even if you change the zoning, under 91 law, there can be no development. Why am I telling you this? Because people don't know that in spite, even if you change the zone, paddy fields cannot be converted if they were tenanted paddy fields. So this is the position, and these people are today descending on Goa. The facts and figures have been known now out in the public, 31A. And I just want again, since it's an audience which is different from where we go, Section 17A. What is Section 17A? Section 17A of the Town and Country Planning Act says no hill slopes can be cut or developed without permission of the chief town planner. Okay, though, 17A. आता 2000 Town and Country Planning Boardan guidelines म्हणून काढलो. Town and Country Planning Department is nobody in Section 17A. Under Section 17A, it is only the chief town planner who has the right, not a Town and Country Planning Board. Chief town planner in 2010 explanatory memorandum that you must follow the counter plans of the Survey General of India. Even 2023 any guidelines काढलो, and this was followed up to 2023. Fresh guidelines were issued, and under these guidelines, private architect येले and they म्हणपाक लागले the counter plans prepared by the Survey General of India हे सारखे नाही, आम जे करतात ते सारखे, आणि आमचे Town and Country Planning Board परमिशन दिवपाक लागले. जेन्ना आमी म्हणटात fish, नुस्ते, what do I understand? I understand the hills where the rain falls, the streams which come down, the rivers which start, the lakes and the pond which are filled by those springs, and the ocean, and the marine life altogether. So fish is not only the mackerel. A fish can thrive in those waters कित्याक आमचे दोंगर आसात. हे दोंगरा वयल्यान उदक देंवता. हे उदक जाता न्हंयो. स्प्रिंग ज्यो आसात आमचे तळ्यान भरतात, आनी आमचे समुद्र जो आसात हे जाग्यांनी मेळटा आमकां नुस्तें. ही जावन आसा फिश फक्त बांगोच न्ही, an entire cycle of life, starting from the hilltop down to the rivers into the ocean. What is curry? अरे कोडी शीत आनी कोडी न्ही. जेन्ना आमी ती कोडी चोयतात न्ही, what do we see in that curry? पयलीं कितें चोयतात आमी? कोकोनट ट्री. तें झाड आसा आमचें, नाल्लांचें झाड. तो नाल आमकां तो रोस दिता ती कोडी करपाक. So it is not merely curry. It is that coconut tree which stands down there. जे coconut treeचे तेमचे coconut tree पहिलीच वासल न्ही. Every part of it had some meaning. The leaves gave us roofs. The trunk gave us places to put it up. So, and what are the other things? When we say curry, the other trees that give us the spices. So when you say curry, it is not only जेवणार बसले आणि कोडी खायली म्हणून न्ही. It is our orchard lands, it is our coconut groves. And when we say rice, why शीत आमचे येतात न्ही. But what is rice? These are our paddy fields. These are our cousin land where it grows. So fish curry rice is an entire cycle starting from the mountains down to the plains, down to the cousins and our paddy fields. So please don't look at fish curry rice as only something which is there on your table or the contents of it. Of course, the contents are there. But look at it holistically. A life cycle that is Goa. And what is happening today? Ask Kidzata. What is Goa's landmass? 3,702 square kilometers of land हे आमचें गोंय. आनी आमचे गोंयांत आमचे फॉरेस्ट जे आसात न्ही, वायल्ड लायफ फॉरेस्ट एक्सेट्रा, 1,315.25 square kilometers, constituting 35.32% of the land mass. Forests can't be touched, though they tried to because of the Forest Conservation Act. And if private forests are some small area, आणि काल आम्ही वाचले पहिले एकल्यान आमदारा म्हणले त्याला 61% इज फॉरेस्ट लँड म्हणून, मंत्री सांगता इट इज 70% म्हणून. आय वेंट टू फिश करी राईस फ्रॉम द रिजनल प्लॅन. आंकडी जे आसात ती these are from the regional plan which shows how much is forest land. It is just 35.32%. And private forest is something additional, some 4.x square kilometers. But there are two other important land masses. दूसरे आसा horticulture, 842.99 square kilometers, constituting 22.77% of the land mass. Now, Town and Country Planning Board has no right under Section 17A. That right is exclusive to the Chief Town Planner. We are fighting this. Unfortunately, perhaps these points were not properly canvassed. We are going to canvass them. And here now, what is this book? Ultimately, end of the day, so much effort has been put into this book, as Cloud has pointed out. Open up the pages. It's a treasure trove of information of Goa. You want to know about the rivers? Open up the rivers. You will get every information. You want to know of the mountains? Every information. It's a classic case of a well-documented research book. Maybe it is not that what in the academic circles where we call that kind of book, but it's a volume for everybody who wants to know about Goa, who wants to find out आपल्या जाण जावपा जाय हें गोंय कितें. जेन्ना तुमी एक चळवळ करतात न्ही, पयलीं तुमचें काम कितें आसा टू अंडरस्टँड वॉट आर यू फायटींग फॉर, वॉट आर द इश्यूज you are fighting for. हे पुस्तकांत तुमकां जे the issues तुमकां जाय न्ही, you will find in this book. I won't want to speak more because my colleague Justice Patel is there with his fiery best. You will like to hear him because I have been now touring Goa and repeating the same thing perhaps time and again. But I want to tell you all, we are here together. And Justice Gautam Patel said, Goa is worth fighting for. He's here. He had come for a sitting, one sitting. And he said, Goa is worth fighting for. And today, two judges of the Supreme Court of India, while hearing a matter, said, we are not going to allow Goa to be converted into a concrete jungle. And if This is what comes from the Supreme Court. Are we as Goans, आमी गोंयकार, आमचें तोंड बंद करून, are we going to keep quiet? Then we must fight. आमी हे सांबाळपाक जाय. आमी 3-4 मिटींग केल्यात, एजमुखार मिटींग करतलेत. म्हाका आशा आसा, ओमकार आसात, दुसरे गांवचे लोक आसात, आमी तुमचे बारबार आसतलेत. Whatever we can do, but together, we must preserve this Goa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice Rebello. Justice Rebello mentioned Article 51 AG, which is a fundamental duty. आमचे मुळावें कर्तव्य ते म्हणजे protect and improve the natural environment, including forest.
What it does and does not want. A unique aspect of Goa's land use is this sense of community over land and land-based resources. I don't need to explain that more fully here, and I dare say each of you understands it more thoroughly. What 39A has done is this, let me simplify this. It has obliterated community-driven decision-making and agency in self-determination and replaced it with the godlike wisdom of a chief town planner. If this sounds familiar, it should, because once again, this is the same story repeating itself of reducing Goa and its people to irrelevance, the land to a backdrop, and in full cry, what I call the infantilization of an entire populace. Because what are we being told? That each one of us, in whichever village, in whichever comunidad, all of us and each of us is too childlike, too infantile, too mutton-headed, just too stupid to understand what is best for us. The chief town planner, God, will decide. And you will then go to him as a supplicant and you will say, I object. And he will wish away or wave away your objections. And there goes your land. There go your rights. This is not how it should be. There is the strongest possible judicial principle in support of the right to environmental self-determination, and it is the 18th April 2013 Supreme Court decision by Justice Radhakrishnan in the Orissa mining case, which involved Sterlite and Vedanta, two names that should be familiar to you. You know what I'm talking about. The parallels with us today are uncanny. Previous benches and governments said that the poor people of the Niyamgiri hills in Odisha were so poor, they didn't know what their rights were, they didn't know what was good for them, and therefore this mega project should go through. I wrote about this in a recent essay, and I noted that the Supreme Court expressly rejected this, and it ordered a referendum. Vote on it, it said. Now I want to test this principle. The Niyamgiri voted, and they voted out the project. Now I want to test this. Let there be a referendum on any one of these proposed land use zoning changes. Not just suggestions and objections. Put it to the vote. And let the chief town planner behave as he should, as a public servant, with the emphasis on servant, and not like some self-inflated satrap exercising dominion over that which is not his, but is yours and your community's. I dare say the plan will be lost and will be voted out. If you want public participation, then suggestions and objections and formalities are not the answer. Let the community vote on it and let us see what happens. And this is the reason I'm saying that 39A is fundamentally, frontally unconstitutional. I want to quote from an article that Vivek Menezes recently wrote when he spoke to Dr. Goes of Columbia Universities. Dr. Goes says, 2 back-to-back victories in Chimbel and Sant-Andre remind us of something powerful. There is strength in unity. When people stand together, power is forced to listen. The attempts to bully, intimidate, the pressure, all of it collapsed in the face of united communities. The larger struggle must continue to free entire Goa from the 39 acres, to reclaim our rivers from casinos, but most importantly, to rid our state of arrogance and corruption in public office. You are under, I understand that. But this feeling of despair came back to me just this morning because you walk into the airport and the first thing you see is an advertisement for a casino. And a young advocate gives me one account after the other of a restaurant being put up within spitting distance of the nesting site of olive ridley turtles, of sand dunes in South Goa being moved to accommodate a 5-star hotel chain. And the question is, when will it end? The answer you will find from Justice Rebello is when you say enough is enough. But resisting this pressure is difficult. And this is how developers and planners succeed. They succeed by balkanizing your communities, dividing you, the people, taking away your land, your right of self-determination, your right to decide what should and should not be allowed to happen to your community land, and criminalizing protest. There is a word for this pattern, one that runs throughout recorded human history. It's called conquest. Late one evening, I sat with Maria Couto on the veranda of a gracious home. Good evening. It is a privilege to be here, but I think I should be a little more cautious in accepting these invitations. The last time I was here, Claude went to the ICU. I arrive here and Norma has one hand in a sling. I have no idea what's going to happen in the next visit, so perhaps this will be the last one. आणि आपण जे चिंबेलचे आहात तर जरा तुम्ही 15 मिनिटं प्लीज थांबा. मला तुमच्याशी काहीतरी बोलायचंय. मराठीत बोलीन, कोंकणीत जमणार नाही. It is coming back for me. Every trip to Goa, however short, is like a homecoming. I'm going to try and understand why this has become the way it has. This evening is an especial privilege because I can now freely associate with some I hold in the highest regard, Chief Justice Rebello, a friend of many years and an esteemed senior colleague, and Norma and Claude Alvarez of the Goa Foundation, for both of whom I have long had nothing but the most profound respect. And there is, of course, Dean, whose work in conservation and architecture we all know, and I'm happy to say that many, many years ago I had the privilege to stay at one of your early boutique hotels and was quite overawed by it. Posada Toma, I think, at that time. Each of these people are known for their fidelity to the land, their integrity, their indomitability, and their love for Goa. I need to go back a bit to explain my response to the last of these. And it takes me back to 2017 when for the first time in my life I was here to work. Until then, I had only visited Goa off and on in what I now believe is the typical tourist fashion, a holiday in a hotel or a resort by the sea with a pool, local eateries, and so on. In June 2017, I was here to stay, at least for a few months. I was to live here. And the first 24 hours upended everything I thought I knew about the state. I came here with my wife. My sister and her boys were visiting from the US, so they joined us. And we went off to Miramar, only to be greeted there by the phenomenal ugliness of a vessel stranded right on the sands. And not just any vessel, a floating casino, Lucky 7. To this day, I cannot explain why I felt the way I did that evening. It was like suffering relentless hammer blows, outrage, despondency, a sense of loss and foreboding, and an incredible, devastating sadness. And right then, my nephews, then both very young, turned to me and said just this: "Mama, please do something." My sister added, "You must," as if to say, what good are you if you can't or won't? Some of you may remember what followed. My great good fortune and the equally bad luck, this was a casino, remember, of the vessel owners, that the case was listed the very next working day. It was low on my list. Someone tried to mention it at the start of the day for an adjournment. I refused. This had to be done because the words of those two boys were still in my head. I remember saying to my colleague on the bench, Justice Nutan Sardesai, what good are we if we allow this on our watch? I think we caught them unawares, especially when we said that before the monsoon went, Lucky 7 had to go. Our beaches came first, casinos later. Lucky 7 did go, and it went before the monsoon ended. And that was just the beginning of what I am now making bold to say is an ongoing love affair with this incredible state. It wasn't just the slower pace of life or the beaches and all the usual tropes. In many ways, up close and personal, with the freedom to be there, to be here for longer stretches of time, I was able to wander inland, meet people, visit places. This was a Goa far beyond my experience until then. I turned into an incorrigible wanderer. Justice Sonak told me, you have to go and see Diwar. So off I went one evening, thinking the rain had lessened a bit, and in the spirit of adventure, I was just going to an island in the river. I mean, how can it possibly go wrong? I told my driver to go, and I drove myself. I went up to the chapel, walked about the hill, took in the vista, wandered down past the old Portuguese houses, and then saw a sign for the ferry and headed there. But I forgot this was an island, and there is more than one ferry of it. I took the wrong one, which heads off to the north. And by now, I was in a torrential downpour with no GPS, no signal, and no idea what to take route. Recall that infamous comment by the leading light of a now defunct journal, supposed in its origin to have been a beacon of light and truth at one of its early think fests here, when he said, now you are in Goa, you can drink as much as you like and you can sleep with whomever you want. There was outrage, and rightly so. What came of it? What is this but a horrifying, terrible stereotype? And exactly the same thing is happening again. It is only the form that is different, and therefore it is apparently all right, because it is a stereotype, to dismantle Goa bit by bit. I am here to say that though I am not from Goa, and for reasons I myself will probably never fully understand, it is not all right. It is most emphatically not all right. The sheer number of environmental issues affecting Goa is staggering. Forests, wildlife corridors, coastal and marine and estuarine areas, lakes, water bodies, list is endless. Fling a dart and you will hit an ecological or environmental disaster, whether it is Mopa or Chimbel saved because of these ladies, or Miramar or Reshma Ghosh or Mbole. It is precisely for the one reason that those elected to power just do not seem to understand Goa's ecology is especially fragile, and the smallest intervention here has an outsized effect. This may partly be because the state is very small, but it is also because of the quality and the richness of the ecology. But let me enter a caveat. I spoke of the high quality of litigation here. This is the first of three issues, of at least three issues. Courts cannot make policy. Rushing to courts each time, and especially with ill-considered and poorly researched petitions, is always a mistake, and a costly one, because sometimes to have a petition on a worthy cause is worse than not filing it at all. It clears the road for the opponents. Second, in Goa, there is often an unacceptable muddling of what constitutes a genuine PIL and what is a purely private dispute. Agitating in court about a neighbor's mango trees and claiming that this is a PIL is nonsensical and is a colossal waste of time and energy. But there is a third factor at play here, and I want to decry it in the strongest possible terms. It is the dark side of social media and the internet. There may be good starting points for further investigation available on social media, for further debate and so forth. But today, these have become crutches and feel-good escapes from the brutal hard work of confronting problems in the way that Goa Foundation does. Just posting a comment on X or Instagram or Facebook is not a substitute for engagement with advocacy groups, which is why Goa Foundation is important and which is why it's heartening to see so many people here this evening. The fact that you are all here today tells me that all is not yet lost, but the danger exists. Don't just sign online petitions. Don't put comments on X or on Twitter or on Facebook and think the job is done. It isn't. The job is on the streets. The job is in Azad Maidan. The job takes 24 days. I am the last one to advocate a revolution or a revolt of any sort, but I do expect that every citizen must know her and his rights and must be prepared to defend these loudly and together. Courts should be the last resort, not the first. Which brings me to the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the infamous Section 39A of the Town and Country Planning Act, introduced by the 2024 amendment. This clever little legislative sleight of hand allows the chief town planner to almost whimsically change land use zoning. True, there is a provision of a 1-month period for suggestions and objections, but as we all know, this is simply cosmetic. The decision is already made. There is a far more fundamental issue here. When we talk about town planning, a basic construct is public participation in the planning process. This phrase is not explained and is often distorted. Is allowing for suggestions and objections sufficient? Or should a community showed it to a senior advocate long retired who had called on me? He too read it slowly and in a voice filled with emotion, he said, "How does this come from you as an outsider?" And I wanted to tell him, I don't feel like an outsider anymore. But that, my friends, is exactly Goa's problem today. What we are witnessing here, and which is what Justice Rebello spoke about, is a process known as othering, where Goans have become the others. Goans have become the lesser, the immaterial ones, the ones who do not matter, and those who are not Goans, who make no attempt at all to know or understand Goa, are the ones who take all the decisions about the land, the people, the culture. And this is being done not just by outsiders, but is being actively facilitated by those within from Goa. This is not a simple binary. There are many from Goa who continue to soldier on in their own way, some with advocacy, some in their writing. My good friend Vivek Menezes being a case in point, solidly keeping the flame alive. But there are others, not originally from Goa, who have come here and in some essential, irreversible, immutable way become Goan. I'm not talking about the many stalwarts who have roots here, Charles Correa's family, this whole building, the Kala Academy, we know the struggles it had to bear. There are those whose concern is greater than mine, who are not originally from here, but who have made Goa their home. There is the journalist Karanjit Kaur, whose writing I follow. There are my dear friends Vikram Patel and Gauri Diwan, who had the world to choose from, but have made this their home and they keep coming back. And there are many others. As I left Goa, the bar hosted a farewell dinner. I think my colleagues on the bench were a little shell-shocked by the vivacity of that evening, but it was typically Goan, with music, food, drinks, and freely making fun of me. And then that evening in a quiet corner, the then Advocate General asked if I would ever get a house in Goa. No, I said to him, not unless I could make a home here. That is a distinction that those who impose their will seem to have forgotten. This land is not a piece of meat in a butcher shop to be carved up and distributed. It is a home and it needs to be treated like one. How have we come to this pass in Goa? Let me put this in context. And let's understand one fundamental problem, which is the stereotyping of Goa. For those not from here, from Mumbai and Delhi and Ahmedabad especially, who buy up tracts of land and construct monstrous houses with not even a nod to Goan architecture, heritage, culture, climate, environment, or ecology, all done in pretty much the same style, one that we might call Dubai chic, or perhaps more accurately, the post-aesthetic school of architecture. Goa is just one thing. It is a backdrop. It might as well be CGI, scenery painted on a screen, and laid behind the trophy dwelling. In a word, Goa is made irrelevant. And in popular imagination too, there are nothing but stereotypes. The rubbish portrayal of a typical Goan in Hindi movies, for example, one devoted only to drink and church in equal measure, or sometimes the cassocked Catholic priest. There's nothing in between. This imagery has sunk deep roots. One evening, my dear friend, the late Maria Aurora Couto, recounted the horrifying story of what her husband, the highly regarded civil servant Alban, was asked by an admiral, a vice admiral, of the Indian naval fleet as it approached these waters. Alban was asked to provide for the seamen on board as they came ashore. And I do mean provide in the widest possible sense. I drove slowly in one direction, totally clueless, and it wasn't until the next day that I realized I had gone from Diwar across all the way up the east to Aldona, Moira, and crossed over before finally heading south to Altin. My driver was extremely suspicious the next day when he saw the mileage on the machine. Our work in court was exhilarating. The quality of advocacy, the quality of pleadings, the range of issues, And there were moments of shared good humor. I had a complaint, I remember once, about the size of a Kandoli lady's pet ducors, for example. I didn't know what I was supposed to do with this. And there was this terrific moment with Norma, which I cannot resist recounting. I don't know how many of you have actually seen Norma and Claude in action in court. It's something to behold. There's Norma, compact, almost bird-like, yet of steely resolve, tempering her submissions with one eye firmly to the law. And there's Claude, who sits right at the back of the court, watching very closely, smiling. Nothing much escapes him. And Norma's petition that day was, as I recollect, hold on, shrimp. She said there were buns, and there were prawns, and there were people drying prawns on the buns, and this was causing massive air pollution. Now, this petition, unfortunately for Norma, was called out just a little before lunch, and I was getting hungry. So I said to Norma, Ms. Alvarez, we have a problem here, one that's far more significant than you imagined. So she looks at me in nonplussed and says, sorry, what might that be, sir? I'm sorry, I couldn't resist, I just couldn't. I said, Ms. Alvarez, if you stop drying all these shrimp, how on earth will I get my daily fix of kismol? At which she burst out laughing, and Mr. Lotlikar remarked loudly, okay, we've got him, he's become a Goan. Now, cases of different hues came to our court. That Goa Foundation NGT case you know about. I want to say something about that. But there was the incredible episode about the disadvantaged medical student Poonam Zore. I would dearly love to meet her one day to pay my respect for what she and her family endured and achieved. The denial of medical reimbursement to an employee of a local government body, many others. At the same time, I was learning about the quiet contribution of Goa in almost everything, from food to music to art, culture, a variety of art forms and more. And like the rain, Goa seeped into my heart. And I understood that you do not need alcohol in Goa to be intoxicated. But over several weeks, I was beset by a sense of immense disquiet. Something was going very wrong here. It seemed there was a gap, a chasm, between the underlying grace and beauty and gentleness and the steady piling on of one unspeakable thing after the other. And then came that NGT Goa Foundation case, which we took up as a suo motu PIL, even as Goa Foundation filed its own. We heard it, decided it, and you all know this passage in the judgment. Here's what you don't know. It almost didn't happen. I had the draft ready, and I felt something elemental was missing. So I went back to it late the night before, and I wrote that passage. And the next morning, I showed it to one of my judicial interns, a young man now in practice here. It has no business being in this judgment, I told him. It's totally obiter, it's not part of a judgment. It's more than somewhat over the top. It's a useless piece of ex cathedra prose. He's gone. He read it twice, more slowly the second time, and said in a very quiet voice that slightly shook, "Sir, I think you need to leave it in, despite everything you just said." Later, if you indulge me for 2 more minutes, I want to say something to the people from Chimbel. क्षमा करा मी कोंकणीत बोलू शकत नाही पण मराठीत बोलीन. 24 दिवस तुम्ही आझाद मैदानवर होता, 44 दिवस. ती बातमी फक्त गोव्यात नाही मुंबईपर्यंत पोहोचली. ते तुमचे आवाज, एकेकांचे आवाज तिथपर्यंत ऐकू आले. तुम्ही कशासाठी लढत होता ते आम्हाला कळलं. आणि हे तुम्ही जे केलंय हा फक्त विजय नाही, ही काहीतरी महत्त्वपूर्ण गोष्टीचा ही सुरुवात आहे. आणि हेच पूर्ण गोवामध्ये ह्याचा प्रसार झाला पाहिजे आणि हे पसरलं पाहिजे. तरच हे सगळं सुधरेल. आणि ही शक्ती फक्त तुमच्या हातात आहे. पण हे तुम्ही करून दाखवलंय की आमची जमीन, आमचे हक्क, आमचे आवाज तुम्हाला ऐकावेच लागतील. ऐकले नाहीत तर खबरदार. Thinking. There was a primordial quiet here, just the soft hiss of gentle rain on the leaves. She, the grand old lady of Goa, was ailing now, but her spirit was undiminished. But you could see the ache in her eyes and hear the sadness in her voice. It was to be the last time we met. How often, she asked, in so low a voice, it seemed almost as if she was speaking to herself, or possibly to her God. How often will we Goans be conquered like this? Thank you for listening.
Justice Patel, I have long wanted to introduce you to this audience. So, despite my wounded soldier status, I insisted that I will do the job. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, Justice Gautam Shirish Patel is widely regarded as one of the most respected judges to have served on the bench of the Bombay High Court in recent years. During his time as a judge, he earned a reputation for clear thinking, careful reasoning, and a deep sense of fairness. He was known as a judge who took the Constitution seriously and who believed strongly in protecting personal liberty and the environment. His courtroom was a place where arguments had to be thoughtful and well-reasoned, and where every case was treated with seriousness. Because for Justice Patel, the law was never just about technical rules. It was about protecting the rights and the dignity of ordinary citizens. Throughout his years on the bench, Justice Patel was known for his firm commitment to constitutional values. He often reminded lawyers and governments alike that the law must serve as a shield for the public, not as a tool for the powerful. His judgments frequently stressed the importance of fairness, transparency, and due process. He was also willing to closely examine government decisions when they affected individual freedoms or protection of the environment. I had the opportunity to appear before him when he presided over the division bench at the Bombay High Court at Goa, and I saw firsthand how carefully he examined every matter that came before him. Many people in Goa will also remember his brief but important visit here in the year 2017. At that time, he was hearing petitions filed by citizens and NGOs, including the Goa Foundation, challenging a decision of the Ministry of Environment to move or to transfer all environment cases from Goa, which had to go before the National Green Tribunal in Pune, to transfer them to Delhi. So people in Goa, people like Judith, for example, used to travel all the way to Pune overnight by bus and then argue and then come back. People like me who also traveled in the same manner to handle cases at Pune, we would have to go to Delhi to argue our cases. Why? because, as the government said, the government had set up a panel in Delhi to hear environment matters. Justice Patel would have none of it. He ruled against it. But more than that, there is a paragraph at that end of that judgment which is truly eloquent. And you will find it in the Fish Curry Rice book. And it ends with a line which all of you are very familiar with. It has been repeated several times today, and if I asked you to say it, you will all say it. Goa is a land worth fighting for. That's right. Those words went far beyond the courtroom. They remind us that protecting Goa's natural beauty and environment is not just a legal issue. We at the Goa Foundation go to the court often for it. But it's not just a legal issue. It is a responsibility we owe to future generations. This phrase quickly became part of the language of environmental activism in Goa, and it helped inspire movements such as the Enough is Enough campaign led by Justice Rebello. Justice Patel wrote many important judgments during his career. Whether the case involved business disputes, freedom of expression, individual rights, or environment protection, his decisions were known for their clarity and thoughtful reasoning. Many lawyers have often said that Justice Patel is not only legally sound, but also a pleasure to read. He really has a facility with language. Outside the courtroom, Justice Patel is also known for his wide intellectual interests. He has often spoken about the importance of literature, art, culture, and open public debate in keeping a democracy healthy. Many young lawyers say that he inspired them to see the legal profession not simply as a career, but as a responsibility to society. Justice Gautam Patel retired from the Bombay High Court in April 2025 after many years of distinguished service. But his retirement has not reduced his involvement in public life. He continues to speak and write on important issues, especially on the need to protect our constitutional values and the environment. Last year, he came to Goa to deliver a lecture at the Goa Foundation's popular public interest law courses, which we hold every 2 or 3 years, raising money to carry on for the next couple of months or years. Justice Rebello has also appeared in that, has also spoken to citizens at that public interest law course. It is therefore a great honor for me to welcome Justice Patel back to Goa today. This is a state justice where you have spoken words that many people remember and repeat. As he addresses us this evening, I am sure he will remind us that protecting Goa, protecting our environment, our culture, and our way of life is a responsibility shared by all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Justice Gautam Patel to the podium.
नमस्कार इश्टानो. जशें संदेश बाबान सांगले, आता हो जो भाग आसा ह्या कार्यावळीचो आमी 16 संघटना किंवा व्यक्ती अशे 16 संघटना व्यक्तींक आमी हांगासर मान दिवपाचे आसा सादले सराच्या हातींतल्यान. सो सुरवात करुया. पयली संघटना गोवा रिवर सँड प्रोटेक्टर्स नेटवर्क. ही संघटना गोंयान गोंयच्यो सगळ्यो न्हंयो जे आमच्यो रिवर्स आसा त्यो वाटोवपाक लागून वावुरता. ही संघटनेन आजून पर्यंत गोंयभर काम केल्लेलें आहा. इनलिगल सँड मायनींग गोंयान जाता तें